Well, after months of speculation, the Prime Minister is expected to call the federal election. It'll mark the beginning of a 5-week campaign centred around the cost of living. Anthony Albanese is expected to make the 9-minute drive to Government House in Canberra, where he'll ask the Governor-General to dissolve the 47th Parliament, as we take a live look at the Lodge as the sun rises over Lake Burley Griffin this morning. Let's go to Kieran Gilbert and Andrew Clennell in Canberra. First to you, Kieran. So is this imminent, according to your sources?
It's imminent, yeah. About 3 minutes away, we can expect the Prime Minister to kick things off in election 2025. Pete and I can report, doing my best traffic reporter impersonation. The traffic's clear in Canberra, so that 8-minute forecast for the drive to Yarralumla will be bang on. And this is part of the process. The Governor-General takes the advice of the Prime Minister on the election date. The GG, Sam Mostyn, then will issue the writs. The first time she has done it. And essentially the writs are the direction to the Electoral Commissioner to hold the election and give the Commissioner the rules, the dates and so on, when nominations need to be concluded, the date of the election, and when the results need to be returned. But after all the shadow boxing, it's going to be game on in a matter of minutes.
And then what happens after that, Kieran? Does he sort of leaves, and then is there a traditional press conference that's held, or there's a statement of some kind?
Yeah. No, there is a press conference, I'd say, in the next hour. He'll have a cup of tea with Governor-General Mostyn and then hold the news conference in about an hour from now. Pete, you and our viewers would recall some of the famous moments where the Prime Minister has declared the starters, fired the starters gun in the election. I remember one, and here we go. Is that looks like the first car maybe in the convoy of the Prime Ministers?
That'd be him.
Yeah, there it is, C1. Yep. That's him. He's on the way now to Governor-General Mostyn. Yep, it's all happening. So he's going to be bang on time for this meeting. But I do recall, Peter, as the Prime Minister is driving down Adelaide Avenue now towards Yarralumla, the 2004 declaration by John Howard, and Andrew and I both reporting on that at the time, where he said at the time his government was described as mean and tricky, and it was seen as a government that couldn't be trusted. Well, what did he say first thing in starting that news conference in that election? Who do you trust, was his question to the Australian people. Who do you trust to keep interest rates low? So it was all about rates at that time. He tried to turn his weakness into a strength. This campaign, as you know, and as you've been reporting for months, is all about the hip pocket cost of living.
I tell you what, he's moving at a clip there too. And speaking of tricky, Andrew, I mean, when was this decided? I mean, as soon as he got wind of Peter Dutton's budget reply, is this an attempt to steal the thunder, or was this the next best date after April 12?
Oh, no, I think it's definitely about the budget reply and about trying to take the opposition by surprise. But it leaked a few days ago that it was an option, and we reported a couple of days ago it was an option, and I think he finally decided kind of Wednesday, Thursday that, yeah, we're definitely doing this. And to do it at such an early hour, that's pretty unconventional as well. Often it occurs on Sunday at about 9:30am. He's going for the breakfast TV audience here, but what he's also doing is he's trying to get one ahead of Peter Dutton, who had to attend his traditional budget reply speech fundraiser last night. Would have had a late night. Well, I'm sure he, kept to the waters, but Albanese's out there, and he's going to be out there early. He's trying to get the opposition leader a bit on the hop. And look, I don't think there's much doubt he's eyeing his place in history if he can pull this election off. It's been a difficult term with the voice and the cost of living, and it'd be quite an achievement to win. And he'd be conscious of the fact not many Labor Prime Ministers have won 2 elections. I mean, Gough Whitlam and Bob Hawke did. Curtin didn't. Chifley didn't. Gillard didn't. Rudd didn't. Keating didn't.
Yeah, I mean, even for anybody to do that, we're going back to Howard, aren't we?
That's right. In 2004, after 2001, 98, 96. So, although, Albanese's got a way to go to match Howard, let's face it. But I think Bob Hawke won 3 as well. So, 4 actually. So, it is something that when he came to office, he wanted to keep Labor in power as long as possible. Winning only 78 seats probably didn't give him the best chance of doing that, particularly when inflation was on its way globally. And then we had the Voice debacle. So, but he would feel in recent months that the government's come back, it's ahead. His view is if we go in at 50-50, and he believes he's going in at 50-50, then we're ahead as an incumbent, because people sitting on the fence will tend to go towards the incumbent. But it's all down to the campaign. That first message is pretty important. I mean, Kieran mentioned a first message that worked, although ultimately interest rates did go up and John Howard was booted out after work choices. But
just want to pause you there just for a moment, Andrew. We'll come back to you. I just want to go to Government House. That's where Cameron Redden is at the moment. So what are you seeing, Cam?
Morning, guys. The sun just peeking up over Dunrussell Drive, this beautiful canopied street leading up to Government House. The Prime Minister making his way along Adelaide Avenue at the moment. In the next 5 minutes at most, he'll turn onto this beautiful drive, about 1 kilometre long, go through the gates behind me for that meeting with the Governor-General. Speaking to people on both sides of Parliament this week, guys, they tell me that at this time 3 years ago, many of them thought Scott Morrison was already beaten before he went through those gates behind me, but not so this time. There's a bit of buoyancy about the Labor side after the budget. Andrew and Kieran just mentioning that. They feel that this campaign will be crucial. From here, once the writs are issued and the Prime Minister's held that press conference, it'll be off around the country to sell his message. Peter Dutton will do the same. This campaign, all crucial, guys. You can see a few staffers and members of the Government House team arriving again behind us still. From here, it's game on.
All right, and perfect timing as the Prime Minister and those government vehicles go straight past you, Cam. Appreciate that. Well, sorry, Andrew, let's go back to you and finish your point. Where do they begin? Where does the Prime Minister go? Where does Peter Dutton go?
Well, Peter Credlin played it to me last night. I was thinking of a time when it didn't go so well at the first press conference. That was Julia Gillard's moving forward. So, these things do matter. You can be mocked if you don't get it right. And already the ads were coming out for Anthony Albanese last night, building Australia's future. Peter Dutton's going back on track. Both messages which can resonate, let's face it. But, it would be good to see both leaders come out with a real positive vision, because in a tight race when there's not a lot on offer, I don't think, I think the messages matter, and people want to trust and hope that things will get better for them.
We remember how things started 3 years ago, Kieran, with the Prime Minister, the now Prime Minister, was unable to recall key data, what the cash rate was. I mean, does he brush up on those sorts of skills this time around? I mean, it could have brought him undone, but it just didn't because of the ScoMo factor. But I mean, is he brushing up on that data this time?
Oh, absolutely. The cheat sheet will be stapled to the front of the briefing notes every morning, and not just for him. Peter Dutton will remember how our good friend Andrew Clennell took out the off stump of, in cricketing terms, took out the off stump of the then opposition leader very early in the piece. So both of them will be wanting to beware for those little outswingers, as Andrew bowled beautifully last campaign. But, we just saw the Prime Minister waving there on the way in through the ceremonial entrance there of Government House at Yarralumla. The procedure, the formalities continue. And informal, as I said, a cup of tea to kick off the day. He looks like he's ready for the campaign. But I think Andrew, the way he characterised it is really, we should repeat that, because it goes to the heart of what this is all about, really, this campaign. One is going to be telling Australians to look forward. The other is going to be telling them to look back to the last 3 years and are you better off than the last 3 years? So this is really, if you drill it down, that's what it comes down to. Are you better off is the question. Peter Dutton wants people to zero in on when they go in the ballot box. The gentleman who we just saw walking into Government House wants people to think that tomorrow is going to be better than today. And that's, if we go to the budget this week, Pete, I know it's been derided, the tax cut and sandwich and milkshake and all that sort of stuff. And rightly so, it's tiny. But the symbolism of it is about reminding people, things have shifted in the interest rate cut. This is a little top up as well. Things are turning in this direction. And
turning
it was all about giving Jim Chalmers. Exactly. And that, the symbolism of a rate cut, as small as it is, gives them something to continue that narrative that we're turning the corner, Pete.
Yeah, but turning the corner into deficits, as I pointed out on the night, that's the problem too, Pete. I mean, that goes to the worst aspect of Labor. and in its traditional reputation. You know, all those years of deficit during a recession under Keating, which Howard and Costello took to surplus, people have been reminded about that. Jim Chalmers would be spewing about that because he had managed to get 2 surpluses going. By having to do this budget, he's had to say, oh, well, it's a sea of red from here on in. And he didn't look happy doing it, frankly.